Hi, I'm Eric with New Wire Marine, and today we're going to look at how to wire hydraulic trim tabs with a double pole, double throw rocker switch. Now, hydraulic trim tabs work similar to electric, but the wiring is completely different. You'll know if you have hydraulic trim tabs because your switches will have 4 wires connected to a hydraulic pressure unit, and then hydraulic lines with hydraulic fluid that go out to operate your trim tabs. All right, so let's look at the switch wiring. I've got 2 trim tab switches in this little test panel we made, and I've got a test panel here. We'll test out our jumper configuration after we're done with it. And now remember that the starboard switch goes to the port tab and the port switch goes to the starboard tab, makes the starboard tab valve operate. And when you go up on the switch, it puts pressure on the hydraulic pump, and when you go down on the switch, it's going to retract the hydraulic pump. Now to do that, there's a series of jumpers that we put on the outside. Now let's talk about the double pole and double throw function. Now the switches are laid out. There's 6 contact terminals, and there's an input on both sides. The 2 sides are isolated from each other, so they're not connected within the switch. There's an input into terminal 2 and an output from 1 and 3, and a second input into terminal 5 and an output from 4 and 6. Now to make these operate, what we're going to consider is that one pole of the switch is used for the valves and the other pole is used to operate the hydraulic pressure unit. So I've got color-coded wiring here that matches our color-coded wiring on our test panel that matches Bennett's typical wiring configuration, so it'll make all this very easy. So first, let's make it so that the starboard switch will operate port tab in both up and down positions, and that's really simple. I'm going to use red here, and I've got a piggyback terminal that goes, so because we're also going to have to come out to the load, and I'll put it across both of them. So now you can see how power input here goes, when it goes up, comes out of here. When it goes down, comes out of here, through the jumper, and out of there again. So now both up and down are going to trigger our valve. The next one, we're going to do exactly the same thing. The port switch, we want to trigger the starboard valve. So we do the same thing. Up and down both come out of this, are both going to come out of this terminal now. Now, whenever we press the different switches, we want to pressure and retract. Now we want up in either position to go pressure. So pressure is our blue wire, and that will go from 6 to 6. So I'm going to go here over to here. Now you can see if you press up on either switch, power will come out of there, or it'll come out of here and out of there again, going to the same line. And the same with yellow. When you press down on either switch. Now that's it for the output terminals. Now we've got to get power into the switch though. So to do that, we've got these nifty little double jumpers that I'm going to install on both terminals 2 and 5. Now this is called bifurcating, when you take one wire in and splice it out to 2 more. And then, but to think about this, it's only going to one load. So we've made this second bifurcated input wire. And this is going to go into both switches because you don't need to individually circuit protect this, because ultimately the power is going out to the same load. So that's the entire wiring configuration. Power input and a series of jumpers to make 4 outputs. Let's hook it up and test it, see if it works. So we've got our test panel here. We've already got the negative hooked up to the test panel. I'm going to bring power into the switches. Yellow for retract goes on terminals 4 of both switches, caused by this yellow jumper. And this is why we needed those piggybacks. Red is for the starboard valve, so that goes on port valve, starboard switch. Green, starboard valve, port switch. Hope we can see that. They're going on the piggyback jumpers down there. And then the last one, blue for pressure. Okay, now we've got our switches hooked up to our test panel. Let's test it out. Whenever I press up on the port switch, we're going to get the LED light indicators coming on for pressure and starboard valve. Perfect. Now we press down on that same switch. We're still going to get the starboard valve because of that green jumper, but now we're going to get retract on the pump. Same with this switch. When we press up on the starboard switch, we're going to get the port valve and the pressure lead on the hydraulic pump. And when we press down on it, we're going to get the port valve and the retract lead on the hydraulic pump. Okay, so in this video, we used our laser etch Contour 5 covers with our Carling rocker switches in the back. Now, for simplification purposes and ease of understanding, we use our 6 terminal unlit switches But if you wanted them to be backlit at night, which a lot of people do, we do have a 10-terminal backlit switch. And in that configuration, what you do is add another series of jumpers you like to use blue for backlights. And by the way, we pre-make and sell these piggyback jumpers and the bifurcated input jumpers and a number of other ones that are great to really speed up your wiring jobs at home. But what you would do is, to make the backlights work, you'd go input there and negative here, and then with all the same wiring on these contact terminals, and that will make both lights of the switch light up. We'll put this switch actuator on it, and then I'll bring power into the backlights just to show you daisy chaining these across the switches. They get a really nice glow for night readability of your switches. And like I said, the jumper's available, the switch actuators available. We can actually customize these actuators, rocker switches, all available on our website, newwiremarine.com.